Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Communication 24/7 Podcast. I'm your host, Jennifer Furlong. First, let me apologize for the late start. It is 1,000% my fault. I made a mistake. Can y'all believe it? I made a mistake, but hey, I'm owning up to it. So when I set this podcast up, this particular episode, I thought I had everything 100% correct, and there was a teeny tiny little mistake. I said 9:30 p.m. instead of a.m., and then there were a whole host of issues that resulted from that when I tried to change it at the last minute. So I hope that you all forgive me. One thing that we talk about in communication is extending grace to others, even if you think they don't, if they don't deserve it. But hey, I hope that you're thinking I'm deserving of it. So happy Monday. And I tell you what an appropriate way to start a Monday. I know that many of y'all, whether you end up tuning in live or you're listening to this later on, you can probably understand what it's like to start a Monday off in this fashion. So I have the perfect guest for this, Joanne Morton. I'm going to introduce her, and then I'm going to tell you why I think she's the perfect guest for this type of beginning for a Monday morning, because she's definitely the one that can help us get jump started in a more positive way, even when we start off, with a little challenge. So Joanne is an artist, a performer, and an activist, and she uses art and visualization together to encourage conversation and action to create positive solutions for our lives, our communities, and our world. She invites people to creatively express themselves and their visions and intentions by discovering the colors within. So I love that. We're going to talk about that as well. Joanne's art and events help people activate positive energy within themselves, and we need that Monday morning, right? So they go from feeling stressed and frustrated to feeling relaxed and motivated. When people feel relaxed, it resets energy, it creates ease, and it sustains success in their lives, thus giving them motivation to collaborate, to create positive change with others. So, Joanne, thank you so much for being on the show.
Good morning, Jennifer. Well, thank you. This is good for me to start my Monday, having a fabulous conversation, and yeah, it's so good. Yeah, I have so many things I could say, but let's just let you be the host, not me.
Well, Hilda also wants to add happy Monday, so thank you.
Happy Monday,
Yes,
Hilda.
it is a happy Monday.
It is. It is. I did this. I love affirmations, right? Affirmations are like really have saved my life and changed my life. And there's that one that says, today's a good day. I added, today's a good day if I say so. And I say so.
That's kind of like that quote. I think it's a Henry Ford quote I read like 1,000 years ago. It says something like, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right.
Yeah. Oh, that is such a good
I
one.
love that quote because it's so true. Yeah, it's the way we're going to start it out, right? It's all about that perception.
Yeah.
So I read out the bio so everybody will have kind of an inkling of who you are and what you do. But why don't you tell us a little bit more about yourself, your journey? How did you get to this point? How did you end up becoming an artist with this type of focus?
Well, it's so I kind of how do I start? That's a good question. Very good question. So I will start with my mind, my positive mindset first, because I've always kind of wanted to be an artist, but I didn't really have the confidence or the courage to. Hey, Kiana! Oh, yay! She's in Savannah. So you guys, she's a Savannah lady. Yay! Cool. So I've always wanted to be creative, but I was a little nervous and didn't have the confidence to say I could be a painter or a visual artist because I thought I couldn't draw. And so when I was going to college, I didn't apply to art school. I went to film school, which I love film, so I don't regret it at all. You know, it's a big thing. But in the beginning of the 2000s, I was working in film, but I wasn't really happy, and it's because my artist side wanted to come out. But I found my artist side when I discovered affirmations.
Okay.
Louise Hay, she was like the first book that like you know, it started You Can Heal Your Life, and it changed my life. And then from that moment on, when you start opening your mind and your heart to new ideas, and I like when people call it's new thought, even though it's not new, it's been around for hundreds of thousands of years, but it's a new consciousness that we are recreating, right? So when you start learning how to shift your perspective, it changes everything. When you start learning about gratitude, it changes everything. When you start talking about visualization and the law of vibration and the law of attraction, and you realize how much we really are part of the co-creation of everything.
Yes.
Whether, you know, and it's so what are you co-creating? What are you putting into the world, right?
Yeah.
And I always thought I was a pretty positive person, you know, grew up in a very nice family. You know, there's dysfunction, but not a lot of trauma. So, you know, my parents were, you know, good parents. And but we weren't really encouraged to, you know, visualize. We were just hardworking people, you know. So I had a hard time visualizing, you know. But once I discovered that was possible, wow. And that's when I had spent the summer of my 49th year. I subletted my apartment in New York to some interns, and I spent the summer living in my friend's sunroom down in Miami, in Surfside, that little town in Surfside, 4 blocks from the ocean. And it's me and my dog and my friend Dean, since I've known since my 20s. And I was going to write my one-woman show, and I was going to but instead mangoes kept falling into his backyard every morning from his neighbor's tree. So every morning I'd wake up and go out into this backyard full of mangoes, and I love mangoes.
Yeah, yeah.
And so I started photographing them. Instead, I started making them. Not making them, but drawing them, you know?
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, I kind of am artist. So I went back to New York, and within a year later, I had visualized and manifested an amazing art studio in Chinatown, where I started painting in my abstract form that I like to paint in. Yeah. And I was like, this is great. I love this. And I was sharing it with, you know, 2 people who had their MFAs. They were like teaching me. It was so awesome. But when I don't have art history. That's all has a circle. So I don't have art history, right? So I know some artists, and I know a lot of TV shows and movie stars and, you know, movies. That's my trivia set. But art, I know what I like, but a lot of people were telling me that I painted like Jackson Pollock, you know, and I kind of know who I know. So I started researching him, and I was like, he was an angry, bitter, misogynistic, drunk, wife beating. You know, he was
not exactly someone that you want to be likened to.
Yeah, you know. And I'm like, and then you start looking at all these, and no offense to their work, you know, you like the work and not the person. I believe that, you know, there is some genius in all of us. But for so many years, it's just like we've idolized these abusers, these male abusers.
Yeah.
You know, whether they're a writer, Bukowski, you know, it's like, you know, even Van Gogh chops off his ear because of a woman. That's trauma to the woman too.
That's a very disturbing story that we kind of will mention it and then we move on.
Yeah, it's very. Oh, he shut his ear off. He was so in love, you know.
Right.
So I wanted to be. Yeah. You know, it's the 21st century. We're trying to change the story, change the communication, right? So bring back communication 24/7. But I wanted to be a positive artist.
Yeah.
I want to be positive art, you know? And so, and doesn't mean that I don't have dark days and that there aren't hard parts and that I'm not a Pollyanna at any, you know, there are challenges, but it doesn't mean that we can't face them with a positive mindset or positive energy.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's kind of how I did it. So I started combining my affirmations with my art.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that's the story.
That's amazing. And there are actually a few things that you said that I want to spend a couple of moments on to unpack, because I think it connects very nicely with the topic of communication, because of course that's what we're all about here. And one of the first things that you had mentioned was at 49 years, you had made this big decision. And take me through, because I know many of us go through these types of internal conversations when there's something that you feel very motivated about, passionate about, but you are also at the same time a little scared, a little afraid, and maybe hesitant to make that bold move, that you want to make. So as someone who had not quite yet tapped into that aspect of your creativity until you moved out, and you had that experience at your friend's place with the mangoes and all of that. Take me to that internal dialogue. What was that like? How did you talk yourself into making such a bold move that clearly had such a huge impact on the rest of your life?
I think that it's what I do sometimes, and I get to a breaking point where I'm like, if you're not doing what your heart's telling you to do,
Mm.
if your soul's telling you to do, and it doesn't have to be your profession. It could be, if there's lots of ways that if there's something, because I do believe that we all have a special, unique skill and talent to
Mm.
offer the world. And if we were all able to offer it in a way that made us feel good,
Mhm.
this planet would be amazing. It
Yeah.
already is amazing. It would be spectacularly amazing, you
Yeah.
know? So, and when you're not doing it, you're blocking the
Mhm.
energy, right?
Mhm.
And I'm just going to go a little deeper in that. When you block the energy of your world, in your personal reality world, you're connected to everyone else's world. So
Mhm.
you're blocking your family, your business, da, 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 da. And then because we are all part of the universe, you're blocking the entire universal flow. So
Mhm.
your blockage could be blocking something 800 million light years away,
Mhm.
because we're
Yeah.
still all
Yeah.
connected. If you want to go that big, which I just
Right.
did.
Yeah.
Okay. That's why it's so important to be mindful of what you're blocking. You don't
Mhm.
know what your energy is blocking other people. Right. And then when I find myself, and it's still something that I'm working on to this day. I get to a point where I just get so dang blocked
Yeah.
that I'm like, I'm exploding. I don't see what's beyond, I don't know how I can see beyond this like block, this thing. And then I ask myself, can I afford not to do the necessary work that needs to be done to change it?
Mhm. Mhm.
Change
Yeah.
your attitude, the people you're around, or change your location.
Yeah.
Can I afford not to do it?
Mm.
Not
Yeah.
afford to do it, afford not to.
Yeah.
Because if I don't, it's just
Yeah.
gonna it's just not gonna feel good. And
Right.
I want to feel good being me 24/7. That's
Mhm.
why there's a few reasons why I'm drawn to your title, because I love, how do you communicate 24/7? It's not
Yeah.
just something you do at home and something at work. How do I feel
Yeah.
good? Just because I might feel a little low doesn't mean I can't feel good about myself,
Right.
or
Yes.
good about the possibility of something.
Yeah.
Because if you don't feel good, you're just drained. So I was at the point at the end of 2000, whatever. I had just I've been working in film, and
Mhm.
that company, I was working in a post production company, and it went out of business, and that was like in 2003. And so 2003 and 2003, I was New York City. It was just a crazy period of moment in life. There was some work, there wasn't work, but I was collecting unemployment because I was like, why not? And I had was working. I got a job for working for this sexist pig. I hate working for
Mhm.
this misogynist sexist
Yeah.
pigs. I just hate it. I won't ever do it ever again. And but then right after that, I got a 1.5 month gig being the outreach coordinator, and then helping with volunteers at a women's march in DC. So I got to be a
Mhm.
paid feminist. It
Yeah.
was so
Yeah.
exciting. But then after that job was over, I didn't have another job, and I really
Mhm.
didn't really want to. I wanted a little more time. And so my friend said, come stay with me. And so I did. So having that door open,
Mm.
being able to
Mhm.
have your friends support you and offer
Yeah.
you assistance is so helpful. And
Yeah.
do it in a way that doesn't impeach his life either. like
Right.
so when you do offer support, don't give all yourself away.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it was just everything kind of lined up for me, and it was so easy to rent my apartment for a summer in New York City,
Yeah.
and make your rent, I didn't have, so it was just, I think with my, it's like timing. You got to be
Right.
open, when
Yeah.
you're wanting to change, you got to be open to see what shows up for you and how can
Yeah.
you make yourself feel good.
Right.
And and then just one other thing too, I went down there to write my one woman show,
Mhm.
but my soul was telling me, no, you're supposed to be a visual artist right now.
Okay. Yeah.
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 And then fast forward 2010, 2009. I love New York. It was my lifelong dream to move there. Never thought I'd ever leave. But again, my soul is telling me,
Mhm.
no, it's time for you to go and do something else with your work and be in a
Yeah.
different location. It
Yeah.
wasn't that clear, but that's what it was saying. And so I allowed myself to let go of one of my all-time favorite dreams in my entire life, living in New York City.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I'm so glad I did. Was
Right.
it
Yeah.
easy?
And that's a scary thing right
Big
there.
time scary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And
it's okay. It's okay to understand that you might be thinking, right? You might think that you're headed in one direction and that, you are following your passion, but if you keep it open and you look out for those opportunities and you just listen to your heart, and focus on, your passions can change, your desires can change, and we may not even fully understand what is underlying, there. Why do I feel the need to move again? Why do I feel this need? But staying open to that,
yes.
and understanding that nothing is permanent. This is what I also try to remember, that nothing is permanent. And so, yeah, why not move from New York to wherever, Savannah or wherever it is. And it might be the best decision of your life. It might be the crappiest decision of your life, but you're not going to know. But the wonderful thing about it is it's not permanent. Everything's in transition. So if it ends up, oh, why, this was not what I thought it was going to be, you have permission to pivot, right? You have
Oh,
permission.
and I
You can
have
give yourself
pivoted.
permission to pivot and to change.
Yeah. Yeah. We
Yeah.
were pivoting way before the pandemic.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. One of the things that Lorinda has, actually a couple of questions. She followed up. What is your favorite color? And then she was thinking, there's so many colors in front of her. How can she pull the color that's right for her? That's such an interesting question right there, because, we haven't even gotten really into the conversation of, how to manifest, this energy. And I know that's a big thing with you being a visual artist, and learning how to understand how to bring that out.
Yeah.
And I guess one way to do that is through thinking about colors and how they interact with us and our mindsets and all of that. Take us through that aspect, and how can we arrive at, if there's somebody that's kind of confused or wondering about how to use colors as a way to manifest that energy.
Yeah. Well, there's chakra colors. So there's
Mm.
so we have so that's this is like a there's this is an easy way. There's 7 energy points that people work with sometimes, and it's the rainbow colors.
Mm. Okay. Yeah.
It's
So
red,
easy.
orange, yellow,
Yep.
green, blue, indigo, and
Yeah.
violet. So if you look at the rainbow, that's actually the same energy colors that people have applied to what's inside of. So it's like a
Mhm.
rainbow inside you,
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
there's a pot
Yeah.
of gold on the end of your rainbow. So those are like the primary colors. Again, I didn't go to art school, so I don't know all the right language. I just know what I know. Um, but I know what you can mix the colors. Red, whatever. Don't digress, Joanne. Um,
We digress a lot. We
I know,
digress
I
a lot.
know,
It's about
I
communication.
know.
We go where the story leads us.
Right, right. No, but I really like those colors, and the red starts on the bottom, like at the bottom of your body, so the root, like by your hips are, and then it goes up to your crown chakra, and so, and I can share this. I'll just maybe
Mhm.
share it on my Facebook page. But when I think of the color red, I kind of see my whole body as red, and that's kind of like, okay, grounding me. And then I go into the orange color, and I see my whole body in orange, and that's kind of like our creativity and our financial and our abundance and our, just who we are, what we're creating, whether it's art, money, whatever. And then the yellow, seeing the yellow, and that's our confidence, that's our shining light. And then you go to the green, and that's our heart. And then I'm all about the heart. The heart chakra is green, and we are here to love. And I stay in that green color as long as I can, and remembering love. And then when I'm doing this, so the ones on the bottom are kind of like, they're the ones that are physical plane. These are the ones here in this reality world. And then when we get to our throat, it's what we're speaking. And so we're speaking out into the ether, into the world, into each other. So what am I saying? And then this one is the third eye. The third eye is the pineal gland. And the pineal gland, people say, is what helps us actually connect to seeing beyond what's right now. And then we have our crown chakra, which is connected to your divine energy, spirit, God, which is purple. So I run those colors up and down. And when I do that, then I also have this mantra that I've used. I allow my magic, I feel my passion, and I live my love. And I say those over and over again. And magic, passion, love, the full-on definition is it's a renewable, sustainable, positive energy source found within all of us. And when you use it, your life feels good. And when you share it, wow. But when you break the words down, what's magic? What is the magic that makes you? And define your magic. What are you grateful for about yourself? And what are you grateful for? What's the magic? That's your skill and talent, wow, and then the passion part is not only about, oh, I love you, kissy, kissy kind of passion, because who doesn't love that intimate passion? But you need to have passion with yourself.
Right.
You need to love your magic. You need to appreciate your magic. You need to be passionate to take action. The fire passion, and the passion for life and to live. And when you feel that, then you're able to live your love. And your love is, thank you, Kieta. I love you. We got to get to hang out more, because she's a very mover and shaker in Savannah, by the way.
Awesome.
But you've got to live that love. And for me, that was like the hardest thing to come to terms with.
Right.
Because love means you're vulnerable.
Love,
we can all, and love means you're going to be loved right back.
Right. Yeah.
Are you, yeah.
There's a couple of things, and Lorinda has a follow-up, and I want to bring that up as well, because I think this is such a great lead in to one of the questions that I wanted to ask, and it has to do with the colors as well. But a quick reminder, anybody who is watching right now, that we are live on Facebook and LinkedIn and YouTube. So if you're listening to this later on, that's what we're referring to. So remember, if you make it to the live stream, you can make comments, you can ask questions, you can be a part of the show. If you're listening to it later on, don't get confused, because what we're doing is we're drawing from some of the comments and the questions. So if you're listening to it, it might seem like it's kind of all over the place, but no, what we're doing is we're referring to some.
We're digressing.
We are. We're reacting to those. So, I wanted to bring up what Lorinda and Lorinda. Thank you so much.
Wow.
She is always such a wonderful addition to most of the live streams that I do. She's so interested in communication, and I know she's a grief counselor, and so she really does add a lot, to these conversations, because I can see that she really is wanting to be able to bring in a lot of what she can to the work that she puts out in the world. But those in grief, all grief, and because we grieve in various stages and over various things, how can they choose a color, if they are struggling? And there are two ways that I think about this, and I would love to hear what you think about this, Joanne, as a visual artist. For me, when I think about colors, one way I think about colors is internally, how the colors that I choose, and it's my perception of that color and the energy and how that color makes me feel. For example, earlier you were talking about green and how, green is like the color of the heart. And my favorite color is green. And it's all shades of green because I feel like it represents, it's life, it's nature. I when I go outside and I look at the fabulous oak trees that are surrounding me, and I love to see the leaves, when they're bright green, and the grass. I love that, bright green color of the grass. And even, being on the water right here, I live on the Tivoli River, and right across the river, I mean, we have all kinds of, sawgrass and seagrass, everywhere. I just absolutely love it. It makes me feel calm and relaxed. And, so that's why I personally, that's my favorite color, is green because of the life. And it just kind of makes me feel, really good. But then I also know that there are colors externally, that also can have an impact on how others think and feel. That's why stop signs are red, or we have caution signs that are yellow. And
Yeah.
I even read that one time there was an experiment where they colored in a prison, they colored the cells, I think it was like a pink color, because it actually helped calm. They noted that there was a stark decrease in the amount of fights that were
Yeah.
breaking out, through the color that was painted in the walls. So I don't know. What do you think about that as a visual artist? Do you see the internal, what you are perceiving a color to represent versus the external and what others expect colors to represent? What do you think about that?
Oh my God, I love this. Oh my God, this is so good. Okay. So yeah. So, well, okay. So it's interesting. I love color therapy. I've read. I
Mhm.
don't. You're making me want to go and like really get a book and really study it a lot more, so I can like say, oh, red means this or that. But
Right.
I
Yeah.
love it. And I've done enough marketing, so you kind of know the colors. I love it. It's
Mhm.
amazing.
Yeah.
And there's also so there's that, and I think it's fascinating. But when it comes to my painting, because my painting is very vibrant. Even when I started painting, and people are like, "You have a really good sense of color," I wasn't thinking about it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really think about it. And sometimes I just close my eyes and I just and it shows up.
Yeah. Yeah.
And sometimes I even paint in the dark. So not
Mm.
complete black. So I don't know what colors I'm picking. Like even
Yeah.
that the sun in the background, I painted on my front porch on summer solstice with very
Mm.
low lighting. And I really didn't
Wow.
know what it was going to turn out because I wanted it. So I
But
think
it's like, what a nice surprise.
yeah, the next morning's like, oh, I did a pretty good job. So it's interesting when you say, how do I color? And I think that's the part where we can all have our favorite colors, I
Yeah.
agree,
Yeah.
but what were you, intuitive painting, what that is, and that's kind of what I do, is don't think about what color you're going to pick. Let
Mm.
your brush, you put the couple colors out, and I've done this a couple times with people
Mhm.
when I've done a workshop where like a paint and drink workshop kind of thing. I did one. But what would happen if you just let yourself paint and
Yeah.
then step back and see what it looks like?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's how you discover the colors within. Letting your
Right.
don't think about it, just do it.
Yeah.
But I'd love to answer what Larunda said.
Mhm.
I'm sorry,
Mhm.
Larunda, I'm sorry to pronounce your
Mhm.
name.
Yeah.
Ms. Jones,
Yeah. There you go. Yeah.
PhD, Dr.
Right.
Jones. I did that right, Dr. Jones.
Yes, right?
Let me respond to you, doctor. Um, the I'm really
And the
interested in
grief.
that, the grief
Mhm.
one,
Mhm.
because I have been thinking about how I can support our communities because we're all
Mhm.
grieving, whether or
Yeah.
not we've lost someone individually close, but and the collective grieving is so heavy right
Mhm.
now. We just came out
Mhm.
of a pandemic.
Right. Yeah.
Hundreds of
Yeah.
thousands of people have died.
A lot of
And
people are
there's that
struggling.
that
Yeah.
ripple effect,
Mhm.
when one person, like, my friend's brother-in-law dies, I didn't know him, but I know her, so it ripples. Now I've
Yeah.
just told you, and now everybody listening has now just been rippled of the ripple
Mhm.
of death effect,
Yeah.
and we have to honor that. So I think there is a color, and I am looking in ways to how I can work, how I can incorporate that in some of the
Mhm.
things I'm doing. And so I really appreciate that question
Yeah.
because I'm going to think about it, and I'm going to find you on social media,
Yeah.
and I'll answer that question. I'll send you the question answer too, because that's how do we find that? Because how do we?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and Lorinda follows up with like bring in gratefulness and compassion, with colors and and that's the interesting thing about this conversation is I think it highlights a lot of things about communication is oftentimes when I'm teaching a communication class and my students will ask me a question, a very specific question about communication, and like always, the answer is well, it depends, right? It depends on the situation. It depends on the person you're communicating with. It depends on, who you are and your background and what your likes and dislikes are. It depends on your culture and where you come from and the time of day. There's all of these things, so there's not a one correct answer, within the field of communication. Oftentimes, I mean, the answer is it depends. And, it could be it's something similar when we're talking about using colors as a way to communicate, a specific emotion or to bring about a specific emotion, kind of like the words that we choose to use, can
Yeah,
have an impact depending on how we perceive the word, and the situation. So I know for the longest time, I hated the color pink. I absolutely hated it, and I know it started when I was diagnosed with breast cancer back in 2017. And I became inundated with pink stuff, from
yeah,
people who were trying to show me support from friends to family to different organizations sending you care packages, just trying to make you feel good and feel supported. Even the healthcare workers, in the system, they were like, pink ribbons everywhere and there was a pink Christmas tree in the background, and all of this. And for a long time, I found myself, I did not want, there was not one thing in my wardrobe that was pink. I got rid of all of it. I didn't want to look at pink. I absolutely hated it. And I know that was stemming from the internal stuff that I was going
yeah,
through
of
and it just
course.
wasn't helping. But now that I'm on the other side of that, I have a sense of, you know what? I got through that. I got through that. And now I see myself very differently. I see myself as stronger, even though I still struggle sometimes with some of the things that have been left over from that experience. But I love the color pink now. Like I really like it when I can incorporate the color pink in anything that I do. And so it's really interesting how your perspective, and you have to, I guess if there's somebody grieving, in a way, I was grieving about the life that I used to, pre, uh, it was pre-cancer Jen versus
Yeah,
post-cancer Jen. And I was grieving over having lost who I thought pre-cancer Jen was because everything had changed for me. But now, I do feel like I'm getting back to that.
yeah,
And so I think that love-hate relationship with Pink, is very representative of that journey right there. So I guess for someone who has gone through that grieving process and thinking about, we're talking about colors now. I would just say to anybody who's grieving, think about what makes you happy right now, what in the moment. And just like Joanne and I talked about earlier, you have to give yourself some flexibility and show yourself some grace. And it can change over time. It's okay,
yeah,
if it changes over time. Right now
yeah,
your color might be black because you're just,
exactly.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's how you're feeling right now.
yeah,
And that's
yeah.
okay,
It's totally okay.
yeah.
Yeah, you gotta like, yeah, gotta be gentle with yourself.
Mhm.
I always quote this song. I hope I meet her someday. It's a song called Gentle with Myself by Karen Drucker. And there
Mm,
is a
mm.
line in it that says, I will go as fast as the slowest part of me can go.
Yeah. 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 That's a very good lesson right there. Um, yeah, I think most of us, especially in the type of world that we live in right now. Our society is it's go, 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 go. And that's one of the things, I guess, when we mentioned pandemic earlier, um, it forced us to really slow down. I mean, everything had to come to a halt, for the time being. And that was a very difficult thing for a lot of people to do. So I that's why I really love that Lorinda brought up this question about grief and color and struggling. And, we've talked about the pandemic and how that has had an impact on everybody's emotional state. Maybe there's something to just looking inward and thinking right now, if you could pick any color that would help bring about some type of happiness or relief, if there's a color that if you looked at it right now,
Yeah.
what would that color be?
Yeah. And I always, again, I love being happy.
Mm-hmm.
Don't get me wrong, happiness, happy, Um, but an easier word for me to get to is feeling good,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
I don't have to be happy, but I can still feel good. And that's where I feel like colors really get
Yeah.
you because, I love green too. I
Yeah.
love that there's so many greens in nature,
Mm-hmm.
so many
Yeah.
greens in
Yeah.
nature.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Now you want to make me paint.
I know.
I have my table over
How
there,
awesome is that? Yeah.
I
Yeah.
know. And I'll just say I love I'm I think I'm beginning I'm just gonna announce it. The fall I want to start offering like intuitive or unscripted painting
Yeah.
classes online
Yeah.
and invite people to come and just do what I was saying earlier, grab colors. And
Mhm.
you don't when I first started painting, this was in 2005 or four rather, I'd go to Staples and buy art supplies there, or
Yeah.
I'd go to the dollar store. It took me probably a year and a half um, after I started kind of making art to go into a real
Yeah.
art store because
Yeah.
I'm like, I didn't, oh my God, I don't know how to do, what is all this? So
Right.
yeah. Plus I did something really bad in my 20s in an art store. I feel very guilty about. I don't know if I should tell you.
Uh-oh. Oh no. What did you do in an art store? Okay. What happened?
I don't even know the name of the store, so it can't be. I had a friend, my roommate, she worked in the art store, and
Mhm.
so did her boyfriend. We never bought anything.
Things went missing.
And so I think that's what I couldn't go into an art store because I was so used to just like picking up and taking.
Yeah. Don't make this mistake. Yeah.
I can't do. So it took me like 20 years to break that habit. I feel so good. I mean, that's one of my guilty things. But
Mhm.
it was, my bad teenager year or my bad 20 years. But
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
I don't.
Well, yeah, we all those teens and early 20s, those are the years where we really make some questionable decisions, and it happens to everybody. So
Yeah, I
you are
know.
not the only one that went into a store and kind of walked out with something that you wanted. The only difference is you had a friend there, so you didn't get caught, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. No,
There's
no, I
a lot
never.
of us that did stuff like that, I remember going to the grocery store one time when I was really little, and damn it, I wanted the Rolos. You remember the little chocolates,
Yeah, we
with the
love
caramel in the
Rolos.
center? I wanted the Rolos, and my mom told me I couldn't have the Rolos, but damn it, I wanted the Rolos. So guess what? 7-year-old Jen, she had the Rolos, and her mom didn't
Uh,
even know it.
yeah.
7-year-old Jen's walking down the aisle having her Rolos and didn't even feel a bit guilty about it.
No, 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 no. You have to, that's you just it's learn from your mistakes.
Right.
Don't keep walking through the grocery store eating the Rolos that you don't
Right.
pay for. We see the Rolex. There you are eating your
Yeah.
Rolos. No, you're
So,
yeah.
the funny
Sorry
thing,
about
it
that.
may seem like we're digressing a little bit, but, all kidding aside, I see such a huge connection between this conversation that we're having about colors. There's this internal conversation that we have. and it has to be connected to what is it that makes me feel happy. Like on any given day, what are the actions that I do? What are the things that I think about that really just bring a sense of happiness? And for everybody, that word happiness is different. For some people, it may be a sense of calm. Like I love it when I'm at peace. There's calm.
Right.
Some people, happiness is they're in a room surrounded by people who are having a great time, and it's loud, it's boisterous. There's loud music. Everybody's answer for that is going to be different, but that's why I love conversations like this, with artists, especially artists like Joanne, who uses art in a way to help others tap into, that type of internal conversation. That's what I'll call it, that internal conversation. Because I don't think many of us have the opportunity to kind of stop and think about those things, until Joanne has an installation, or something like downtown Savannah. You had something going on a few months ago, and that seemed everybody got really involved with that, and it had a really positive outcome.
Yeah. We were so in sync because I was like, well, I was going to bring up my interactive and community engagement art project. I just wanted to share that up because what you were saying, people don't have an opportunity to adults, especially, to sit down and think about what it is that they're visualizing for themselves or the bigger picture world. And so that's what that project's all about, is inviting people to take a moment and share on little circles, like making a little mini vision board, because we can see it, feel it, take action. It's been powerful. And I've had one time this woman I thought was, I hear an echo. Do you hear an echo? Are we still okay?
Yeah, no, I don't hear anything.
Okay. So she was like, I haven't sat down with, markers in years, and when I was traveling with this project in 2012, I spent 6 months on the road and going from Savannah all the way to California back, and along the way inviting people to be part of my Circles of Hope. That's the project name, right? And I was at this farmer's market in Austin, and I would just go to an outdoor market, take over a table, put all my supplies and markers and stickers, and people would come up and I would tell my little story. And this adult woman and her 2 adult children were walking by, and they're like, "Oh, this is interesting." And I go, "Well, make a circle." "Oh, no, we don't have any time." Blah, 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 blah. Okay. 20 minutes later, I turn around, they're sitting down. They spent at least 45 minutes making circles together.
Of course they did. Of course they did. They tapped into something. You gave them the opportunity to tap into something they had not tapped into in ages.
Yeah. And that's why I like doing community art, community engagement art, because who doesn't love going to art gallery? But only art gallery people go to art galleries, So take the art to the people, and I want to include them in the art. Make them part of the art, show them what is possible. And also in a way that, for me personally, everyone has different sensibilities, but I want to go in a way that is approachable. I don't want to, I'm a positive energy artist, but I feel I kind of want to be kind of low key a little bit too.
Yeah. Well, kind of like what, another artist that I interviewed, Cheryl Boone, we had a great conversation about the art that she does and the artists that she likes to follow. And, it's a way to be able to have people feel more comfortable talking about difficult topics. And, what reminded me of that is Lorinda had put in the chat, people right now are thinking the word pandemic. And that makes me think of your community, art shows or installations where people like, those adults that you just talked about may not necessarily have had the opportunity to just really talk about how the pandemic has impacted them, as a family, or as an individual, or, as an employee, as anything really. And being able to sit down together at a table while you're playing with your markers, while you're choosing your colors, and then talking about, well, yeah, I'm frustrated at this, and that's I guess maybe that's why I chose this color, or, I'm choosing to think about the positive aspects. So I'm, this color. I think it's a really great way. And like you said, adults especially, I think have forgotten that even just sitting down with a box of Crayolas, in a piece of paper, a sheet of paper out of your notebook, and you feel like it's being a child again. But sometimes I think we need to tap into that to be able to understand how to communicate more effectively, not just with
Yeah.
ourselves, but with others as well. It's just a different way to
Yeah.
have these difficult conversations about these difficult topics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because they have to be we have to have the difficult conversations. Because
Mhm.
if you don't,
Mhm.
boom, stuff happens. And then you have
Yeah,
to have more difficult conversations.
right. Yeah.
And that sucks.
Yeah, it really does. It really does. So I love the idea of having that community type of, art installation where people who just walk by and you could just kind of get them, interested, get them engaged with that.
Yeah.
So that's really cool. And I remember, I saw the pictures, and, I saw the quotes, the feedback that people had left behind, and it seemed like it made a really big impact. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you had mentioned you're thinking about a lot of different projects, coming up. What do you think is next for you?
What is next for me? I'm working and looking for a team, a creative team,
Mm,
to want to be a part of the Circles of Hope, co-creating
mm,
positive change.
mhm,
Because it's a big project, and
mhm,
I have a nonprofit, so I'm looking for funders, and so I'm just
mhm.
kind of putting the word out there. But what I'm really thinking about, what I'm really kind of excited about, is I am wanting to do more. I never thought I wanted to be a teacher. I resisted that for a really long time. I don't know. I mean, I can tell you. I mean, yeah, but I think it's time for me to teach some
No,
classes on
yeah.
how to discover the colors within, how to activate your magic, passion, love, this positive energy. How do you and my other real goal is to find partners who want to do a workshop with me together.
Yeah.
So I do have I know a woman who's a death doula, and
Mhm.
so we're thinking Karen might guess, little shout out, but
Yes.
and I would love to would love to work with her and other people in that field, so that we
Yeah.
can bring some just peace to our hearts,
Right.
and and then the other element too, I just thought about. I just want to share this out. So the Circles of Hope is also a manifesting mobile, and a
Mhm.
manifesting mobile is like a vision board. And this is actually my personal one that I have, so
Yeah.
people can make their personal ones. Um, I am looking for conferences or conventions where I could take the exhibit and hang it and bring it so
Yeah.
more people can see it that way. That's what I'm visualizing and manifesting for that. So any
Yeah.
listeners out there, high schoolers,
High
yes,
schoolers, yeah.
that's
Yeah.
yeah, schools for sure.
Mhm.
So but it's like I've been working on my ideas, for like 15 years,
Yeah.
and have some successes, you have some like woohoo, you make some progress, and then life happens and you do
Right.
different jobs because all these different things, they all play into the same pall, but you can't give up, and then
Right.
going back to
Yeah.
that very, I can't afford not to keep doing the work,
Yeah.
and you have to keep, whenever you keep doing something, you get to another level and there's new work to do.
Right. Well, just, having this conversation, thinking about the circles of hope, and there are so many different areas that I could see this being applied. Like you said, doing something with Karen Micus, so you can, go into the grief area and how to use circles of hope as a way to, learn how to manage that grief, or learn how to
Yeah.
talk through that grief,
Yeah.
through
Yeah.
through the images or the colors or whatever it is that you
Yeah.
choose,
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
draw. Uh,
Yeah. I mean,
so many applications.
yeah. Well, what I like about this is as a tool too, it's like, what is your vision for it? So
Yeah.
I mean, you could even create a manifesting mobile circles of hope for how you even want to live to the end of your life too.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
we have to plan it. We have to see
Mhm.
it. If we don't see it,
Mhm.
we can't be it, you
Yeah.
know?
And
Yeah.
just piggybacking off of another thing that Lorinda had brought up. Man, Lorinda, you're like the star of the show today.
I
So,
know.
talking about high schoolers and teens, she says you'd be surprised. Teens, yeah, they do like colors. And then what you just said, Joanne, you know, um, there are multiple ways to use this, not only just to manage maybe some grief or to think about things that is they're on your mind, it's weighing heavily upon you, and maybe you just need a way to express that. But like you just said, to visualize what is the future that you would like to
Yeah.
visualize for yourself. And I can imagine, especially for teenagers right now, who, I mean, goodness, the past couple of years alone, missing out on graduations and proms and, their freshman year of college being, in quarantine. And to some people, that might not be a very big deal. But when you think about in your life story, we have these pivotal moments, right? We have these
Yeah.
moments that we all collectively share in. We have these stories that we can all share. That has been taken away, from these teenagers. So something like this to help them visualize something more positive, something to look
Yeah.
forward to. That would
Yeah.
be really exciting.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, I'm like, I'm taking notes as we're talking because I'm like, we need to do this brainstorming conversation every
This is a good
Monday, Jen.
brainstorming conversation.
Every Monday, Joanne and Jen talk about Joanne's
That's right.
project.
But see, that again, that's why I love having these conversations with people who don't necessarily have, like my master's is in communication or crisis communication or whatever. It's
Yeah.
coming from, your perspective as an artist,
Yeah.
as a visual artist, and knowing the impact that it can have, on people. The blending of the two fields, that's where the magic happens.
That's
Right.
right. That's right. Yeah, no, it's so true, and everybody, and communication is everybody communicates. Anybody who has a mouth and
Mhm.
vocal cords is speaking, whether or not you can
Mhm.
hear it or not. But everyone,
Right.
and there's even this kind of communication.
Oh, yeah, yeah, that you
You know,
cannot not communicate. I mean, and even
no
when you think the
eyes.
conversation's over, it's not over. It's never over. No
Until I
matter
say
what
so.
you do. Right? Yeah, you cannot not communicate. And what a wonderful way to think about different ways, of communication. I can
Yeah.
even think of applications for couples, who might need a different way to connect,
Yep.
reconnect
Oh,
with one another. I
so
mean,
yeah.
my brain is going a million miles a
I know,
minute now.
yeah. So relationship coaches, love coaches, even career coaches, family planning coaches, all those kind of teachers and coaches, I'd love to come together
Yeah.
to have a collaborative create to because what this is one of my affirmations that I stand for. I co-create.
Mhm.
Wait, I haven't used this in a long time. I collaborate with cool people
Mhm.
to using our skills and talent. No, wait. Sorry. Thank you. This is live. Okay.
That's right. Welcome to live.
Yeah. I collaborate with cool people to co-create financial abundance using our skills and talents to uplift the world.
Excellent. Yeah. Yeah.
I love
Yeah.
collaborating and co-creating,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, because that's the energy of the world is the
Right.
co-creation.
Yeah. So if you're a teacher listening right now, and it doesn't matter, it's K through 12, even at the college level,
Well, I would say 9 through college. I'm not really that big under kids. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's. I mean, I love them. I babysit my
So I
7-year-old
think that
friend, but yeah.
probably goes back to your hesitation of being a teacher previously. So that'll be a conversation for another time.
Yeah.
All right. So, well,
Yeah.
you know what? That makes sense because I imagine a part of this journey is to be able to have those conversations about how this is impacting you,
Yeah.
and so whether
I had
you're,
this.
yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, just because I had this I went out to Lano, Texas, and had the exhibition at this really cool Lano Earth Art Festival. Look it
Mm.
up; it's amazing. And I had some young kids would have walked through it, and I was asking people, "What's one word that would describe how you feel when you walk out?" So these four probably like 10, 11-year-old kids, not that super old. Um, One said, cool, one said, blowy because it was wind blowing, the wind was blowing. But this little girl said humbled.
Wow, that's a big
And me and
word
my
for a little
friend were
girl.
like,
Yeah,
oh
like,
my
do you know what that
God.
means?
But it was, I'm humbled because that's what that is, because you're reading people's messages. You're
Mm-hmm.
reading other people's messages for themselves in the
Yeah,
world.
yeah. Wow.
So they are very profound, and I
Yeah.
love connecting with those. I've had a lot of young kids write, I will pick up trash. I will
Mm,
clean up the earth,
yeah.
And do I have time for one more quick story?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So at the exhibition that I had here in Savannah in April, um, a woman that I was with me. I'm sorry, I got my microphone is in limbo, but she was reading she was hanging the circles, and she read one that said, "I will plant plants."
Mm,
And that really touched her because she grew up in an area that didn't have a lot of plants in her, and
mhm.
a lot of sidewalks and things. And she goes, but then she started realizing that later on that one of the community leaders was in town, and I'm spacing her name for a second, but Lady Mahogany. Do you know who she is? Anyway, so that's her radio name, her old radio name. But anyway, she was the weekend before this event, Mother's Day weekend. Um, she, she was out Easter, I think. Anyway, she was out in a neighborhood planting flowers and trees
Mhm,
in this neighborhood
mhm.
that needed some plants. And my friend was saying, this is what this project does. A little boy wrote this probably 10 years ago. It's
Yeah,
hanging, it's in the manifesting mobile. So we're all kind of taking action to make this collective action happen.
yeah.
And lo and behold, she did, you
That
know,
is awesome. That is awesome.
right?
At the end of the day, that's what communication is all about as well.
Yeah,
No matter what's happening in the world around you, and I can see using, circles of hope, or if you just take a sheet of paper and you start coloring on it, whatever it is. And, we think about all of the things that bother us right now. And we definitely have no shortage of issues and things that are out of our control right now. But when you start thinking about, well, okay, but what is something that I can do in order to bring about, something that's more positive, something that will make me happy, and as well as make others happy, and
yeah,
just planting plants.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
it's so simple,
So
right?
simple.
And it's
So
an
simple.
action that one can take. It's achievable. It's an achievable action right
Yep,
there.
yep, exactly.
Mhm.
Yeah. And if we all do a little bit, no one has to do it all.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Yep, yep. I
Wow.
know, I know. And I guess another action people can take is I have a mailing address, a PO box now, where people can make a circle, and it can be added into the community engagement project.
That's
So yeah,
amazing.
so you just a cardboard box, like a cereal box, cut out a circle the size of a CD, 4.5
Uh-huh.
inches for those who decorate both sides, and mail it to me, and you'll be
Yeah.
part of the world's largest hanging mobile.
Okay, y'all heard it. You can be a part of this awesome project, and it can come from all over the world. So
Yeah.
I guess this is a good time to, we've been talking for almost an hour now, like 10 seconds short of an hour. We're about to hit it. That went by so fast, Joanne. Like this was, and there's so much more I want to talk to you about. So, I mean, so this is going to be part one of
Okay.
our Joanne
Yeah.
Morton series, right?
Yeah. Let's 6 months in 2023. We'll schedule a time. I would love that because you're doing great.
This is such a great topic. It really is.
Well, it is, but I'm just grateful for you for having the wanting to share this topic. The power and the importance of having communication 24/7. Home and professional. I just
Absolutely.
everybody. I don't want to. We have to stop talking. The show's over.
All right. So the one final thing before we get out of here, because you did mention the PO box, let's go through. What are all the ways that anyone can contact you?
The easiest way is to go to my website, which is my name, JoanneMorton.com, and you'll get a prompt eventually, and you can sign up for my email list. And I'm giving away some free Zoom backgrounds, and We Are Here to Love postcards that you can download. So that's kind of fun. But that has all my Instagram, which is Positive Energy Artist, Facebook, Positive Energy Artist. If you want to follow me on LinkedIn, please do. It's I think it's LinkedIn /Morton Joanne, or just my name. You can find me very easily. YouTube page, if you want to watch some old short films I made in 1990s from Chicago. You can watch some crazy old videos. I just posted those the other day. I thought, let's go. Let's show all my work.
No, let's do it. So I have all of that. I'll be able to put that in the show notes. I've got your website, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. I got all of the ways to contact Joanne. So those will definitely be in the show notes. So just one final thank you, Joanne, for being on the show. And thanks to everybody who made comments and asked questions during the live stream. As you can tell, it really does help to have those extra voices, because sometimes you might think of a question or you might think of anything that would lend just so much to the conversation. So I really do appreciate you being involved in that way. So any final parting thoughts for you, Joanne, that we did not get to cover?
Well, just thank you, Dr. Jones, for showing up. I was seeing if I could make a chat, but I can't say it to you. So thank you. And I guess the other thing is just allow your magic, feel your passion, live your love, because the world needs your wow.
Love it. And that's where we're going to end it right there. Fantastic. All right, everybody. You have a great rest of your Monday. Hope we gave you some positive energy, not only to get through your Monday, but to get through the rest of the week as well. And then, and go grab some crayons and go have at it. It'll definitely be worth your while. All right. Bye, everybody.